I get it when a laptop advertises a 16-inch 2.8K OLED, a Core Ultra 9 and a dedicated RTX 5050, the excitement is real but so is the hesitation. You're probably wondering whether you're paying for a flashy spec sheet or an actual tool that fits into your everyday workflow, and if you end up with something that looks great on paper but feels like a compromise when you need it most. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Yoga Pro 9i sits in a sweet spot that many premium laptops aim for but rarely nail, a convertible form factor that can serve as a workstation, a creative canvas, and a casual gaming rig. The 16-inch OLED touchscreen delivers deep blacks and vibrant colors, which is a big win for anyone who edits video, does color-critical photo work, or just wants a cinema-like experience while streaming. In my own setup, I paired it with a dual-monitor rig at the desk, and the OLED screen acted as a perfect reference panel while the external monitor handled bulk tasks. The touch capability isn't just a gimmick. I've used it for sketching directly in Photoshop and for navigating presentations without reaching for a mouse. The Core Ultra 9 285H is a 16-core beast with 6 performance cores and 10 efficiency cores. In practice, that translates to snappy launches for heavy IDEs like Visual Studio and near-instant switching between a dozen Chrome tabs, a virtual machine, and a local build process. When I ran a typical development workflow code, compile, run unit tests, then spin up Docker containers, the CPU never hit a noticeable bottleneck. The RTX 5050, while not a top-tier gaming GPU, handles most modern titles at 1080p with medium to high settings. I tried a recent open-world game, and the frame rates hovered around 5,560 FPS, which is perfectly smooth on the 120Hz panel. It's not a replacement for a desktop-class RTX 4070, but for a laptop that's also meant to be a productivity machine, it's a solid middle ground. Now, where the value really surfaces is the 4TB PCIe SSD and 32GB of LPDDR5X RAM. Most reviewers focus on raw capacity, but the practical benefit is that you can keep a massive media library, several large project files, and a handful of virtual machines on the internal drive without ever feeling the drag of a full disk encryption scan or a swap file hitting a slow SATA drive. I loaded a 3TB 4K video archive, a few hundred gigabytes of game installations, and still had more than 300 GB free for future projects. The OS boots in under 10 seconds, and the SSD's NVMe performance makes file transfers feel almost instantaneous. That said, there are hidden trade-offs you'll notice once the laptop moves from the showroom to your desk. The Yoga's hinge, while engineered to be robust, does introduce a slight flex when you push hard on the screen's edge during touch drawing. It's not a structural failure, but if you're used to a rigid studio monitor, the give might feel odd at first. Additionally, the laptop's power draw under heavy GPU load can drain the 92Wh battery to 20% in about an hour and a half. If you plan to game on the go, you'll need to keep the charger handy or accept a shorter play window. The fan profile is another nuance. Under sustained loads, the fans ramp up noticeably, which can be distracting in a quiet office or while recording voiceovers. Lenovo does offer a quieter silent mode, but that throttles the GPU slightly, so you're trading a few FPS for a calmer acoustic environment. Who should consider the Yoga Pro 9i? If you're a creative professional who needs a high color accuracy display, decent GPU muscle for occasional 3D work or gaming, and the flexibility of a 2-in-1 chassis, this is the kind of all-in-one you'll actually use. The large SSD capacity is a boon for editors who don't want external drives cluttering their workflow, and the 32GB of RAM future-proofs the machine for the next few years of software updates. The inclusion of Windows 11 Pro also makes it attractive for business users who need BitLocker, remote desktop, and other enterprise features out of the box. On the flip side, if you're a hardcore gamer whose primary metric is maxed out settings at 144Hz, you'll likely feel limited by the RTX 5050 and the thermal sealing of a thin laptop chassis. Similarly, if you travel constantly and need a lightweight notebook that can survive days in a backpack, the 4.8-pound weight and the 16-inch screen might feel cumbersome. Users who prioritize a silent workstation for audio recording should also be aware of the fan noise under load. A dedicated desktop or a laptop with a fanless design could be a better fit. The price point reflects the premium components, the OLED panel, the massive SSD, and the high-end CPU. What you get in return is less about raw numbers and more about how those numbers translate into daily efficiency. The OLED's color gamut and brightness let you trust that a single export from Premiere Pro will look the same on a calibrated monitor elsewhere. The 32 GB